You're listening to The Scrimmage with Daniel Hargrove and Justin Domashevitz.
But no dubs, though. There were no dubs.
Dubs.
No dubs.
Well, there was soccer dubs.
And Oregon State.
What if I just did the whole show like this in this voice?
I would like to see if you could sustain that.
Is this my froggy voice?
Use froggy voice when you eat old fruit salad.
Exactly. Froggy voice. Let's talk about what we're going to talk about. I'm Daniel Hargrove, using the froggy voice.
I'm Justin Domashevitz. We also have our trusty producer, Andrew Gross, here with us. Thank you for listening to or watching The Scrimmage. And thank you to our sponsors, Ole Penn Real Estate and the Law Office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz.
You really did it, because you said you'd be impressed if I talked in this voice the whole show. So now I feel like
Remember, you use your voice all week at work, though, so you should probably save it.
Let's get it going with the 2-minute drill.
Let's go, huddle up! Gotta hurry. Hey, 2-minute situation, 44 seconds, hand the ball around. Gonna do it right. 3 jet Buckeye, don't worry.
The 2-minute drill starts now.
Former NBA... Okay, I can't do it. Former NBA player Deron Williams will take on former NFL player Frank Gordon in a boxing match in December. Both athletes have training in combat sports, but are making their official debuts in boxing. Justin, who has the edge?
Well, Deron Williams is about 6 inches taller. He'll have the edge in reach. They're supposed to be coming in at the same weight at about 215. You'd think maybe because Frank Gore plays a violent sport like football that he might have a combat advantage. But Deron Williams played a sport where people make contact with each other, and guess what? They didn't wear pads and helmets. So yeah, Deron Williams is going to be tougher as a basketball player than Frank Gore is as a football player. Definitely Deron Williams. Daniel, are you remotely interested in the fight between Williams and Gore?
Well, I wasn't before, but now I want to see your... I think Deron Williams will win because I believe in reach when it comes to boxing.
Yeah, and toughness.
But
basketball toughness.
The toughness take is just ridiculous.
Basketball toughness. You want to get hit, go wear pads.
I'm concerned.
And a helmet.
I'm concerned about Frank Gore being like 90 years old and playing football that entire time. Like, hasn't he... I'm assuming he's had like 1 billion concussions. This seems like a safety risk.
Maybe 2 billion.
Alabama football was so impressive in its win over New Mexico State on Saturday that the Crimson Tide jumped over University of Cincinnati in the AP rankings this week. Justin, are you as impressed with Alabama as the rest of the nation? And they're such a hard non-conference schedule.
I mean, of course. I mean, how could you not be impressed by an Alabama team putting a whooping on a 1-9 New Mexico State team? To be honest, if Alabama was ahead of Cincinnati in the rankings, I wouldn't really think that much of it. But it is a little comical to think this is the week they decided to do it because of that big blowout win against powerhouse New Mexico State.
Look out for New Mexico State. They're 1-9. They'll get you.
The top of college football is becoming a total joke. Daniel, speaking of college football, your Oregon State Beavers easily defeated Stanford on Saturday, 35-14. The Cardinal are the only team to beat the Oregon Ducks this season. Can we learn anything from this? Are the Beavers greater than the third-ranked Ducks by transitive law?
By transitive law, absolutely. I can't... No.
Sorry, I figured you'd want to talk more about it, but I had to buzz that. Like, that's the last word, obviously. They're better.
Well, if a beaver and a duck got in a fight,
then the duck would attempt bad things.
The beaver is Frank Gore, and the duck is Deron Williams.
Oh, the
actually
duck is going down.
That kind of checks out because the beaver is like, I feel. Well, no, ducks are smaller. I always picture beavers as being small. And then,
then you ran over.
And then I ran over one with my car, and it was massive.
And they have metal teeth.
Yeah, metal teeth. No, the beavers would definitely probably bite the head off of the duck. Yeah. Just like, boom, pop. There it is. I think the Beavers got a good shot at winning that game if they play a clean game, because their running game is really good. And if Chance Nolan can play a clean game, meaning not just throw a butt ton of picks like he has in a couple of bad games this year, if he can play one of his good games, then they definitely have a shot. But I think it rests on his shoulders, even though he only throws it like 15 to 20 times a game. You can't throw 5 interceptions in that span. He has to be like on point and go like 17 for 20, and then let the rushing game really take over. Jack Coletto running it in on short yardage situations. But
yeah, well, and I
know
think,
you know so much about the Beavers.
Well,
and you're like, who are these people that
I'll
Daniel's
be a
mentioning?
huge Beaver fan that day, because not only do I want you to be happy, Daniel, but also
I'll be distraught.
The Ducks losing is the clearest path for Cincinnati to the college football playoff, because at that point, the Ducks already have one horrible loss that the committee has just decided, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So if they lost again, like whether it's a good loss or a bad loss, they're not going to put a 2-loss team in, wow, I don't want to overestimate them. They're not going to put a 2-loss Pac-12 team
There you go.
into the college football playoff over an undefeated Cincinnati. So Cincinnati
But they
needs...
might put a 2-loss Big 12 team. Is it Big 12?
10, you mean?
Big 10 team in.
Well,
Ohio
see,
State
and
or Michigan State?
That's where I'm looking at all this, because like the Michigan State, Ohio State thing, some of them still have to play each other. So I want to say Michigan State beat Michigan, I think, earlier this year, but Ohio State still has to play.
That's the best part. Michigan State beat Michigan.
Yeah, and
but in the
they're
last rankings, they're ranked the opposite way around.
For no good reason.
It'd be, how could we possibly tell if one team was better than another?
Yeah, if only you had a head-to-head matchup.
Oh,
that could
only
show
that would be a
you-
great idea.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And then the rationale on that was the committee just said, well, we just felt like Michigan was better.
Yeah, and that's this insane thing about this. As Andrew mentioned, it's the college football rankings are literally a hot take power ranking. It's a group of people making up their own hot takes power ranking, be like, well, we think this team's better at this moment because blah, blah, blah. I don't care if they beat this team or lost to this team. That's how I feel. It's stupid.
They just need smarter people. So I don't want to go back to BCS. But
No,
they need
no,
smarter
they need-
people in the committee
They
who...
need a tournament.
They need a
They need
friggin'
a tournament.
Well, they're still going to have a committee to seed the tournament.
No,
like,
they
the
don't.
committee's not going to.
No, they don't. They need to realign the conferences, have the conferences play each other, have champions of the conferences, and then play a tournament.
Well,
Like
yeah,
the
but
top 2 from each conference.
I see that, but Justin did say you still have to seed the tournament. So
You
decide.
seed based on how you finished in conference.
I know, but Andrew, you would have in that scenario, you would still have like 10 conference winners. So you would have to pick which one of those winners is the 1 seed and which is the 10 seed.
Talking about the super conference scenario where you drop like
yeah,
2/3 of all college
realistically,
football out of
that-
it, and
that
then
would
you have
probably be
like
the way to do
4 power conferences of 15 teams, and
That makes more sense.
if that happened, then you wouldn't need a committee because you could just go like pro
So-
sports style.
so-
let the
should
other
we-
teams have their own championship.
Yeah, so should we create so does there need to be a league in between FCS and FBS? Because right now there's a ton of FBS teams that literally have no shot of winning a championship even if they go undefeated.
They'd need to call the highest league FAS, and then the next one would be FBS, and then there could be an FCS that's right below it, because then it would be ABC.
I like that plan.
Yeah.
What do those stand for?
Football
Football championship.
Butts Conference.
It's
FCS is football championship something.
It's actually
Great
something.
job.
Football championship
So, would
something
you-
is the S stands for something.
Yeah.
So somebody Google this. What does FCS and FBS stand for?
Francis, are you watching?
Francis is watching, and he says boxing doesn't deserve mention in the 2-minute drill. Do better.
So
Football Bowl Division.
That's
football
FBS.
bowl. No, football bowl subdivision is what FBS means.
FCS is
Gosh,
football
that's stupid.
championship subdivision.
Yeah, because the FCS is smart and they know how to do a championship. So FAS would be football. All the words starting with A coming. Football. What's a good word? Football.
Apple.
Football amazing division subdivision. FAS.
Realistically, I would suggest
Football Apex Conference.
There we go.
I
The
would
football
suggest
Division
that you
Subconference Committee.
subdivision.
divide college teams into professional teams and amateur teams, and just go from there. There's 20 to 30 teams that are professional teams, and the rest of them are not professional teams, and you shouldn't make them compete with Alabama and whoever else.
So it would be the NPS.
Oh, there you go.
It will be the NFPS, the National Football Professional Subdivision.
Conference.
Yeah.
Throw a
Conference.
C in for college at some
Yeah,
somewhere
the
in there.
college. It would be the CPS.
The CPS is already a thing. That's Child Protective Services.
I know, but I mean, when you get in with acronyms.
Yeah, but that's boring.
yeah.
Since Francis asked for
Should
it,
be
let's
the
talk
FBI.
about this boxing thing a little bit more. Because Francis wants to talk about boxing.
I thought he said not to talk about boxing.
No, he said we should talk more about boxing.
No, he said do better.
Yeah, so this fight, it's funny because of the direction that pro boxing has gone, where like there is legitimate pro boxing, but most of the most interesting boxing is all these fake fights that are
Yes.
between non-boxers.
Exactly.
And this Gore versus Williams fight is an undercard for a Paul brothers fight. I don't remember
Are
who
you
they're
serious?
fighting against. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
So it's going to be part of one of those fake
Could you-
fights that make more money somehow than the real fights.
Could you imagine if, like, Daniel Hargrove's putting together a football team, and it's going to take on Justin Domashevitz's football team, and that was, like, the biggest watched football game of the year?
Are we gonna have a flag football tournament next,
Like,
next year?
Oh, a scrimmage flag
Next
football
week?
tournament?
Did you say next week?
No, next year. I was thinking summertime.
We should do it for Thanksgiving.
Ooh.
We should slap our scrimmage name on it, meet at Rottle Field, and go for it. Put some rules on it so Monty can't bring their...
Daniel
or
and
do we
Justin
say...
are leading the two teams.
Oh, so that wouldn't be a tournament. That would just be a
Daniel
game.
Hargrove and Justin Domashevitz.
I always feel a little apprehensive
Showdown.
about trying to play
in rainy Rottle Field.
Ooh, man, Andrew's killing this.
trying to
preview.
play
I'm
Thanksgiving
getting
Day
chills.
football at like a really nice field, because I always feel like 10 different groups of people are going
Yeah,
to show
it's
up to
true.
try to play.
Exactly.
So then you either...
That's why we have to stake our claim early.
Yeah.
And put up the big get out of here if you don't want to participate in our thing, sign up.
Yeah, but I don't really want to share with anybody, though. I don't want to invite other people to play in our game.
Gotcha.
Just
Because
be
It's
Daniel
just you versus
and
me.
Justin.
I'll throw the ball to myself. You throw the ball to yourself.
I like my chances in
Andrew
this
can be our
situation.
ref.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I was gonna be all-time quarterback, but
The problem we had when we tried to do the big tournaments before is like 12 Monty football players would show up.
I don't see that as a problem.
And then they would all make their own team while everybody else drafted a team.
What's the
and
problem?
shockingly, they would win every time. It was like, wait a second. It's almost like these other teams picked from a certain pool of players, and you all just picked from all the best Monty players from the last 5 years.
and picking from the best Monty players is kind of like picking from the best Grays Harbor players.
There was a point several years ago where I was a supervisor of a
I'm
sort.
on your side, Daniel.
And
I'm on your side.
I kept hiring really good high school athletes,
Yes.
like just out of high school. And so there was a day where like these guys decided, oh, let's get together and we'll invite some of our other friends who we played high school football with, like real good, legitimate players. And they were like, hey, do you want to come play with us? And I was like, yeah. And so I went and played with them. But the whole time I was suffering from severe imposter syndrome because I'm like, I don't belong out here with these guys. What am I doing? And then first play on defense, I intercepted it.
Oh, get out of
It
here.
was awesome. And then nothing that I mattered for the whole rest of the, nothing I did mattered for the
Yeah.
whole rest of the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then, you know, when I went to work a few days later and the one guy was like, hey man, you got some skills. I was like, that was about the best I remember ever feeling at work.
That's so funny because our confidence levels are so different. Because I go into a situation like that and I'm like, I'm better than all these people. Why am I not getting
children.
the ball?
And the truth of the matter is, like, we were just playing. Everybody just wanted to have a good time.
Yeah.
And I knew that I wasn't going to be able to really guard any of them, like, in a serious way. So I was giving them a lot of cushion and trying to, like, use strategy when I guarded. And then on offense, I just played quarterback. So
Nice.
didn't have to worry about it. Threw
Nice.
some touchdowns. My team
mean-
won, I think. It was a long time ago.
I'm 2-0 when it comes to challenging former Monty athletes in a competition of athletic ability. I intercepted a pass on a street in the middle of the night once, and I
Within
beached,
close proximity of a bar.
yeah, possibly. And I'm gonna name drop here. I torched Shad Rogers in a race. Come at me, Shad.
Was that when Shad didn't have any shoes on?
Possibly. And he also blew his hamstring
Yeah.
out worse than I've ever seen happen before.
Yeah, poor Shad.
Poor Shad.
Shad's a good dude.
I love Shad.
Shad's
Shad's
a
a good
good
dude. Yeah, I feel bad that No.
Francis says that Tyson ate Holyfield's ear.
Yeah.
Last thing he paid attention to in boxing. Move on, sirs.
So, well,
we
since
did, but he
Francis,
keeps bringing it up
actually,
again.
since Francis wants us to talk about boxing more,
You know what sport athlete would really be good at boxing?
In
Because
his
you were
defense,
talking
he
about.
probably said that a few minutes
Oh,
ago.
Andrew's just late in the game.
It's delayed.
But rugby players play a collision sport and they don't wear pads.
Yeah.
So they would be the best in your scenario.
you know, when I was thinking about how to answer that question,
Sonny
I was
Bill
actually
Williams.
going to bring that up. I was going to say, if you want to get a real tough fighter in there, bring a rugby player.
Yeah. Rugby versus hockey.
Ooh, that'd be fun. In all seriousness, the best the best athletes that I think we played with that didn't grow up playing rugby
I see what
were
you're saying.
wrestlers. Like wrestlers, there were I remember several wrestlers that transitioned to rugby that much better than like the football players who you had to teach how to tackle over again and stuff like that.
That is so true. And yet, man, wrestlers got zero hands.
Yeah.
Like so many times I see, like, I know Isaiah Pierce is a wrestler, so he's got obviously good hands. But
There's a
all
lot-
of those guys that you were talking about just popped into my head, and I just remember
Yeah.
him just dropping the ball
Yeah.
constantly.
Let's not
the
forget
thing is,
also
you can
that
get away
Kyler
with
Pranty
that.
was a state champion wrestler, and
That's a
he
good
was
point.
also a great receiver.
That's a good point. But I feel like the percentage
be
of
a
wrestlers with
wrestler.
no hands
Yeah.
is much greater than the percentage of basketball players with no hands.
That's true. I mean, just the difference in the sport,
Yeah.
But you can get away with having sloppy hands as a
Slams.
rugby player because
That's true.
Like a fumble isn't gonna kill you every time.
Yeah, that's a
and,
good point.
And missing tackles will kill you every time.
That's an excellent point. And I had to learn how to tackle from scratch when I played rugby. That's for sure.
You scratched people when you tackled?
Yeah, just in the eyeballs.
Wow.
Yeah.
That would probably be
Actually,
effective.
my most effective thing that I did was I whizzing hunted people. Like, because they were like, get low, don't tackle the ball. And I'm like, but it's a big, awkward ball. I'm just going to get it. And one time I did it against this crazy good player. He was playing down from I only played B side usually, so it's like varsity and JV. And there was this guy for UW who was one of UW's best players, but they needed more players on their B side, so he started playing. Massive dude, like 6'4", built like a stallion. He was running at me, and I was like, well, I got no shot. So I just grabbed the ball and spun away from it, and I ended up with the ball. And I was like, whoa! And then Daniel Gross killed me, and the ball went flying up in the air, and yeah. But I did get the ball originally. I think it was Daniel that hit me. I'm not sure. But I got lit up, and the ball went flying.
So Daniel, Andrew's little brother,
Yes.
feels to me like the ideal type of athlete for certain parts of rugby.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
he was.
He is explosive and angry
Yes.
and extremely athletic
Yes. Freakishly athletic.
and angry.
Yeah.
Did I mention angry?
Not afraid to scream at people bigger than him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. He was the perfect scrum half.
Was the funniest. The funniest thing from that awful flag football season, Daniel, remember when you
I
got
got-
ejected and suspended and basically
I got kicked out of the league. Yeah.
Yeah, and we were terrible. That was, I think, our worst year, and we kept losing people. And Daniel was there, but he wasn't Daniel Gross, who I called him Little Daniel. He was there, but he wasn't there for every game. And in this flag football league, we had a blitzer, and you couldn't block him. You could like set a screen, but you couldn't block him. And we were playing against I think they were Stiffies at this point. This team full of like big, strong, scary dudes, and they were really good. And there's this one guy in particular, big, strong guy, also reputation for being kind of a hothead and a little violent sometimes. And little Daniel half his size,
Yeah.
was going nose to nose with him the whole game.
Yes.
And he was being so rough and so physical that towards the end of it, this huge monster guy was like, dude, get out of my face. Like, what the heck is wrong with you? What are you doing? And little Daniel didn't back down.
Not one
He
bit.
got right back up in his face and like, what was that, buddy? And to the point where this big guy, who we all kind of knew, and we were like, we were at a point there where we were sort of friends, but also like kind of acquaintances.
Yeah.
And he's looking at me like, what's wrong with this guy?
Yeah.
Like, why? Why does this little guy think that he can step up to me when he's half my size? And I was like, I don't know what to tell you, man.
But you better suck it up because it
He's
ain't
a honey
stopping.
badger. Because
Yeah.
if little Daniel decides that he's going to fight you, I'm going to put my money on him.
All right, let's move on into the next part of our show, which is
Serving questions up on a silver platter where the points are made up and the rules don't matter. Time for Stump Daniel.
Froggy Boys.
Stump Daniel is brought to you by the law office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz. Thank you for that sponsorship to help bring us this segment. Daniel, the first question I have for you is a little painful.
Uh-oh. I don't like this.
Russell Wilson
Oh.
Was-
Hustle Kilson?
shut out for the first time in his NFL career. That's 166 starts, including the playoffs. The last time the Seahawks were shut out was a 24-0 loss in 2011. Daniel, what team shut out the Seahawks in 2011?
Well, I thought I was going to be positive on this, but the broadcast said one team name, and then when I brought it up later, Andrew said another team name. So I'm going to go with Andrew on this.
Okay.
I'm going to say the Cleveland Browns.
Ooh,
It was
I'm
the
sorry.
Pittsburgh Steelers.
It is the Pittsburgh
Dang it,
Steelers.
Andrew!
I was just reading things.
Somebody that Andrew read said Browns, and I went with them. I should have gone with Tony Romo.
Yeah.
It's the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I would say if you have a choice, always go with Romo.
I like that guy.
Yeah.
Although,
He's got a nice way of talking.
were you watching
In
the
Russell's
game?
defense, he had several completions in the end zone.
To the other team?
Yes.
Were you listening when they just had that fumble happen where they were like, oh, simultaneous possession goes to the offense, even with fumbles? And then they showed the Fail Mary, and Romo went, simultaneous possession goes to the offense. So I guess that was a catch. He literally said it, and I'm like, yup! Boom! Because that fumble ruling they had was about the exact same. Like, Golden Tate had his hands on it. The other guy had it wrapped up. But Tate had his hands on it. So technically, simultaneous possession. That was the exact fumble recovery situation on that one that... Kai Martin just texted me and said the Browns won nothing in 2011. Yes.
Oh,
Is that
so-
literally the season where they didn't win a
If
game?
you saw a 0, it was the first number in their record.
That could have been it.
The game against the Browns, I believe, was the last time that the Seahawks were in a game with less than 10 points scored, which is what they were talking about.
Oh, okay. Now I have to look up.
Because it was like 3-7 or 3-5, maybe.
Ew.
Is that right?
Who knows? I got one more question for you.
Okay, sorry. Thanks,
okay.
Kai.
Thank you, Kai. Trey Young
Okay.
is the first Hawks player with 25 points and 7 3-point field goals and a half since Steve Smith in 1997. So since Trey Young came into the league in 2018, there are only 3 players who have more 25-point halves. Since 2018, 3 players who have more 25-point halves than Trey Young, who has 20.
Wow. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
So you want me to name those
Yeah,
players?
name the
Oh,
players.
okay.
Which three players have more 25-point halves than Trey Young?
Since 2018?
Yeah.
James Harden.
James Harden is first. He has 53
Oh my gosh.
25-point halves since 2018. But in fairness, that was because he was shooting 18 free throws a game and never passed the ball.
That's something I want to talk to you about here in a little bit. Let's say Steph Curry was hurt for a big part of that. I'm still going to go with Steph Curry.
Steph Curry is third on the list. He has 24.
And 25-point halves. Damian Lillard.
Damian Lillard is the third one. He has 35.
Woo!
I think the one thing I was wondering is if Klay Thompson was on this, and I was like, well, no, he's basically been out for 2 years.
Yeah, and he plays with another guy who would be on that list.
But Klay is like ultimate score spurt guy. Didn't he
true.
score 25 points in a quarter once?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Score spurt guy.
Anyway, you didn't get you went away from Romo, so you got the football one wrong.
I know, terrible.
But you got all three in the NBA one.
that
so that's
seems-
pretty good.
I feel dirty.
And that's the end. That's the end of Stump Daniel. I think that was pretty successful for you.
Yeah, I'll take it. 3 out of 4.
Congratulations.
I graduated 75%.
Yeah.
Nailed it. I was going to ask you, Andrew brought this up earlier,
Yeah.
because they've made significant rule changes for
Yeah.
foul calls. And then I was like, oh, wait, Damian Lillard used to get a ton of those foul calls. Is that a major problem?
It's been the biggest problem for Harden and Luka. Trae Young also has been having some issues with this, but Harden is like, if he can't initiate contact in a bogus way and get a foul call, he can't play offense. He went
Yes.
in the beginning
Has he
part
been
of the
terrible
season.
this year?
Yeah, he has.
Oh, that's so cool.
And in the beginning part of the season, like when I said 18 free throws a game, I didn't make that number up. I think he actually averaged one season 18 free throws a game. Don't check me on that because I could be wrong. But he also, in the beginning part of this year, he was averaging 3 free throws a game.
Whoa.
So I don't know if that's changed over the last few games, but for him, it was a huge difference. And he was actually starting to not only not get the defensive calls, he was getting offensive fouls called on him for some of this crap that he does, hooking people's arms and shoving people off when he drives.
Good.
And for me, it makes the product of watching basketball a lot better because it's taking away this, like, essentially they're like, you know what? Free throws are boring. Why are we letting these guys do this?
Yes.
Let's
Thank
go
you.
back to the way it used to be and stop giving these guys 45 free throw attempts a game.
Shocker.
And the biggest culprits of it were James Harden and Luka, and to a lesser extent Trae Young. And I had this same thought about Dame as you did.
Because the thought came up because there were some games where he would have like 40 points and like 15 points were from the line.
Right.
So that's why it popped into my head. So I was wondering.
I think the biggest issue with Dame right now is that he's just not shooting well. And I can't explain it why, but in the games that I've watched, because a lot of his free throws, like, you know, he would get fouled on 3-pointers and stuff, and part of the emphasis is, like, there's all these guys who go up there and kick their leg out, or they jump at a weird trajectory so that they can land on the other guy and get
just
that foul call.
Creeps me out because I always think they're going to blow out a knee or an ankle.
Some guys
doing
do. Klay Thompson injured himself kicking his leg out into a defender once. But
and then they get all mad like the person stood under them.
Yeah.
It just drives me nuts.
right. So for me, watching Dame, it's not even so much that he can't figure out how to play offense without that. Because when he drives to the basket, he doesn't initiate contact the way those other guys do.
No, he's not big enough.
No. Like Harden's like, he's super strong. Like he's like a little bowling ball. Like
Yeah.
he's round and
He's a
just
big
really
bowling ball.
packed in there. But
Bearded
Dame,
ball of
for whatever
bowling.
reason, like he's just not hitting shots, which is
Okay.
weird.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's going to be a point where he snaps out of it. Because last time I checked, he's shooting something like 29% on free throws for the season. It's been real bad.
On free throws?
Or three-pointers. sorry.
Okay, I was like, whoa, that's
on
worse than
three-pointers.
Shaq numbers.
Yeah, no, on three-pointers.
okay.
And that's a terrible number for anybody. But for him, it's like, it's staggeringly low. And we're getting to the point of the season where he's going to have to snap out of it. So I'm not worried, but I'm not worried.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
The one thing I'd say about the Blazers, though, I don't know if this makes you feel any better. They've been incredible at home, terrible on the road.
Yeah, have they won a road game yet?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
At least as of a couple days ago, they had not won a road game.
Ugh.
So, and also at home, they're playing really good defense. They're like, at home, they're like the second highest rated team in defensive efficiency, which is totally weird. But as a whole, they're like 16th in the league or something.
So that would mean on the road they're last.
Or near last. Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's weird.
They've been real bad on the road. Also, I feel like they play the Clippers every freaking night.
Right? What's up with that?
I don't know. It's weird. I think they've played the Clippers 3 times already.
Ugh. And I hate the Clippers. Don't like them.
No.
They used to be like plucky little upstart, and now they're like a bunch of guys on their team that I just really don't like.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to the Seahawks because they had a real fun game to talk about. Woo! Talk about someone who couldn't hit something. Did Russell Wilson come back too early, do you think? Because, wow, was he inaccurate. I mean, he was like most of the other quarterbacks in the league.
He also was
Right?
almost immediately from the very first drive running for his life.
Yeah, well, that's always happened. Like,
True.
That's not any different. Like, and everybody's saying, "Oh, Dwayne Brown deserves an apology from Russell Wilson." Well, maybe Dwayne Brown should play better this year.
Maybe
because,
Dwayne Brown should apologize to Russell Wilson.
Yeah, because he's kind of been poopy poop butt soup
Yeah.
all year, and now he's hurt to boot. So, good thing they didn't give him that contract. Because wow, like they showed the highlight of Russell Wilson, like they did their graphic mix-up of all the times this year where he's been like under pressure and stuff, and the amount of times that Dwayne Brown was just getting beaten like a drum. I was like, no, it's not great.
Yeah. I have a hard time. That game today was like borderline unwatchable.
It was really bad.
Terrible.
It was really bad.
Because not only were the Seahawks awful, but it was hard to see a path for them to not be awful in that game. So it felt like a game where you were watching it where normally you'd be like, okay, this is the like they're going to click it into things are going to start happening.
Exactly.
But I never felt that the whole
No.
game. I felt like, when is this game going to be over? And also I felt like, how are the Packers only winning 3-0 for so long? Because they pretty much dominated the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think we looked it up at one point, and the Packers had like 40 minutes of time of possession, and the Seahawks had like 19.
Yeah.
It was that bad. And yet, and the defense, I thought the defense played their butts off. Like, that was an incredible defensive performance. The fact that they only gave up 2 touchdowns when they were on the field that long is so impressive. Like, I've been in games as a defense before where I'm on the field the whole time, and you're like, man, there's no winning. Like, you could play really well as a defense and give up 30 points in situations like that is what you feel like.
Yeah.
You know, especially if there's turnovers involved. Now, the Seahawks only turned the ball over in the end zone.
2 picks?
Was it 2 picks? I think it was 2 picks. Yeah, he threw the one in the corner of the end zone that he tried to laser, and then he threw the bomb to Lockett on the double move that the other safety read beautifully and came over and picked it off. That guy played out of his mind. Amos, is that his name? I can't remember. Number 31 for the Packers. Mm-hmm. He played really well.
Well, Rodgers' pick was worse.
It was it was so bad that even Jamal Adams could catch it.
Yeah. He made a nice play. I don't think I've ever seen him catch
Did
a
Jamal
ball.
Adams make a nice play, or did he just get the ball thrown to him?
I mean, he jumped up, had to high point it.
I'm not sure if he had to high point it. I think he ended
Took
up
like a
catching
box
it like right
step
here.
and yeah.
And then I think the only reason why he caught it is because Andrew brought up that the receiver like hugged the ball into him.
Oh yeah, that's
to
a
make
good point.
sure that he didn't.
Well,
drop
and
it.
see, that was the funny thing was like, so Peyton, my son Peyton, has been calling Jamal Adams sack boy,
Okay,
blitz boy.
Blitz boy. There it is.
He's been calling him blitz boy, and he's like, did blitz boy just catch the ball? And I was like, because at this point I was making burgers, so I was in the other room watching from the kitchen.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, it has to be somebody else. Jamal Adams doesn't catch the ball. And he was like, no, Dad, blitz boy caught the ball. And I was like, no, you're wrong. It had to have been somebody else. It was Jamal Adams, and I was like, I've never seen him catch a ball before.
And then my text got through because I usually am behind you. So then you saw your phone, and I was like, what just happened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Bizarre.
Blitz boy is a stupid nickname.
You're calling out your son right now?
He didn't make it up. He said it's something he saw. He's been seeing around on social media and stuff.
Well, social
Probably
media.
a Jets fan thing. That sounds like
Probably
a Jets fan thing.
Probably a Twitter thing.
Yeah, probably.
A twing.
Gosh dang it. I was thinking that was just going to be something you did last week.
That's my life, man.
Oh, good gravy.
It's always been a part of me. It just never got brought onto the show until then.
Gotcha.
Now it's permanent.
So at one point in the game, I went, this is the second time I've done this year. When Aberdeen was playing Rochester, at one point I went, why haven't they run any fly sweeps? And then the next play was a fly sweep, and it went for 20 yards. And I was like, I feel real smart right now. I did the same thing in the Seahawks game because I saw Eskridge on the field. And I was like, oh, they should run a fly sweep with Eskridge. Why haven't they done that? Next play, they ran a fly sweep, and he got tackled for a 4-yard loss. And I was like,
Whoopsie.
don't feel as smart anymore. Yeah. But again, we come back to it. Does it seem like the offense has changed at all with the new offensive coordinator from last year?
Not really.
No.
I think it's worse. I mean, with all of the commotion of last year and all the ups and downs, the Seahawks still had the best offensive year they've ever had. Like I want to say they scored more points and gained more yards than the Seahawks have ever gained in team history. So, I mean, Shane Waldron, he comes into a team with an all-time great quarterback, 2 incredible weapons at receiver, and this is not good enough. So I think the question from this game is, do you chalk it up to the question that you started this conversation with? Did Russell Wilson come back too early?
Yeah.
And if Russ is okay, like, what the heck, man?
Yeah.
How many growing pains do you allow Shane Waldron to have?
Yeah.
Because that is not good enough. And what's been happening for the bulk of this season is not good enough.
Yeah.
Bumps in the road.
Yeah. I don't know.
So are we ready to are we going to stick a fork in the season yet? Because going into this one, I was looking at it going, you know what? Russ is back. The Seahawks are a game out of the last wild card spot. It's possible.
You know
but
what?
They needed to win this one.
But still, I think even after this week, I think they're still just a game back of the wild card spot. I think that those last couple teams are real bad. Or there's a big drop off between the first wild card spot and the second wild card spot. So I think, shockingly, there's still hope.
I think that was an awesome move by the NFL to add that extra wild card spot because it keeps so many more teams in contention and it's reduced so much tanking.
So are you saying that increasing the size of the tournament makes the regular season more meaningful?
What are you trying to tie that into, Andrew?
No way.
Oh, nothing.
Oh, nothing.
Let's
Foreshadowing.
see. Eagles are 4-6. Vikings are 4-5. Saints are 5-4. Rams are 7-2. So right now the Saints would be the second wild card team, and the Panthers at 5-5 would be the final wild card.
So 5-5, and
Yeah.
the Seahawks are 3-6.
Yeah. So they're a game and a half.
Game and a half out. That's not insurmountable. And you said it was the Panthers?
Yeah.
I mean, the Panthers did just get Cam Newton.
They did just kick the crap out of the Cardinals.
Yeah, who don't have Kyler Murray or Hopkins.
Yeah.
That's kind of important.
But they have Daniel McCoy.
Daniel McCoy's out
Danny
there.
McCoy.
Good old Daniel out there slinging it. Not too great this week. Anyway, let's take a commercial break. Out of that, we are going to get into what I'm sure all of you guys actually watch this for, and that is our local sports and the athlete of the week. But first, a pause.
Do you have a legal situation and need someone on your side? Let the law office of Jeffrey A. Damashevitz be your advocate. If you've been the victim of medical malpractice, suffered a personal injury, or need representation with real estate law, small business law, or estate planning, let Jeff Damashevitz put his 29 years of experience to work for you. Call Jeff Damashevitz today at 360-612-3991 or visit damashevitzlaw.com. That's DAMASIEWICZLAW.com.
Thank you again so much to our sponsors, Ole Penn Real Estate and the law office of Jeffrey A. Damashevitz. And now it is time for our Ole Penn Real Estate Athlete of the Week. And Justin, I'm going against the trend this week. I'm bucking the trend. A, I'm going to, it's not a Monty player. And B, It's against a nomination. A lot of times when we get nominations, we kind of honor that. But, this nomination's from Ian, so, I mean, does that really count?
Yeah.
Probably. It probably counts. And we've heeded his nomination multiple times this year for multiple Monty soccer players who are very deserving.
And they're the only team that's still playing.
Yes, and so there is definitely honorable mention of the Athlete of the Week.
I mean, one of them is going to get Athlete of the Week next week. 'Cause
Exactly.
they're the only team left playing.
Yep, and that played into this decision as well. But also, can you deny Kyra Gardner the Athlete of the Week? She has had a heck of a week. She signed a national letter of intent to play Division I basketball, Pac-12 basketball at Washington State University on Tuesday.
Go Cougs.
She has, in her high school career she already has 1,000 points. She has 2 league MVPs and an all-state selection. In addition to her basketball accolades, she is a 2B state high jump champion. She was just named this year's Pacific 2B League volleyball MVP. And Justin, I believe someone told me that this was her first season playing volleyball. She was a soccer player the last couple of years and decided she wanted to play volleyball this year, and she's the league MVP.
I would be willing to bet. I don't know if she's never played volleyball before. I'd be willing to bet she could have just picked up a volleyball for the very first time about 3 months ago and immediately became the best volleyball player in the county.
Gardner helped lead the Seagulls to an 18-4 record and a 4th place finish in the state volleyball tournament, which concluded on Friday. So our Ole Penn Real Estate Athlete of the Week is Raymond's Kyra Gardner, and I would be shocked if she did not get that honor at some point during the basketball season as well, because as we mentioned at the top of that, along with all of her volleyball that we're highlighting her for in this, she's going to go play at Washington State University.
Yeah.
From a 2B school.
I'm
Wow.
literally right now picturing her 3 months ago picking up a volleyball going, what's this thing? And kind of tossing it in one hand.
And then
if
a
it
Freeman
were-
going, you hit it with your hand.
Yeah, exactly. And then if it were a TV show or a movie, you'd see a flash forward 3 months later.
Do you get the
league
montage?
MVP.
Oh, you don't get
Do
the
you
montage?
do the montage in that scenario?
I don't know. No, I think you're right. In that scenario, it's just like
Yeah.
you get like the zzz,
Yep.
and then
League
she's
MVP.
holding the league MVP.
So the
trophy.
question is, when she goes to Wazoo, I mean, obviously she's going as a basketball player. Is she going to pick up a rugby ball and be like, what's this thing? And then immediately become the best rugby player on the planet?
It fast forwards to like she's on the USA Olympic team
Yeah.
for women's sevens.
That's what I'm saying.
She could.
Sky's the limit for Gardner.
Dude, we should get her a rugby
Why are you
ball.
limiting her to the
A
sky?
roll. That's the same face my wife makes when I do that.
Well, you're not even picking it in good situations at this point.
Situations.
Oh my gosh.
Congratulations,
You broke him.
Kyra Gardner, Ole Penn Real Estate Athlete of the Week.
Also, we still don't know if it's Kyra or Kyra.
No.
I say Kyra, and you
I usually say Kyra. But if you say one and I say the other, then one of us is going to be right.
Okay, we'll go with that.
Plus, in journalism, how important is it really to say people's names correctly?
I mean,
It's not like it's 50% of the job or anything.
yeah, come on. People who think it's important definitely have not tried to read hockey names without ever seeing them before. I got to tell you, little sidebar here. Having a Seattle NHL team has made my job of doing the sports cast in the morning for KXRO about 1 billion times harder, because I get the sports recap and I'm like, oh, the Seattle Kraken won, and Yorgov. And then Kyle looks over and laughs at me, and then I just move on with the story because I don't know how to say those names. What?
If you were
Although-
watching the games, maybe you'd be better at saying the names.
That's true. I need to watch the games more often. I did like your fellow broadcaster during the Monty game. Mm-hmm. I liked his attempt at your name at the end of the game.
Yeah.
What did he go with? It was like Damasewicz or
Something like that. You know, it was funny because before the game, he was like, hey, how do you pronounce your name? And so I said Damashevitz, and he's like, I'm just going to call you Justin. So literally for the entire game, he only said Justin. He never said my last name. And I told him, like, dude, don't worry about it. It's no big deal. It's not worth it for you in this 2-minute time frame, because We ended up having kind of a crunch because our situation for broadcast was weird. We had to climb up a metal ladder through a small hole. I had to bring a table up to go underneath the canopy. And so by the time that was a good one. So by the time we were ready to go, I liked it. By the time we were ready to go, it was like go time. No time to learn the name Domashevitz.
Yeah. Even though when you hear it, it doesn't sound very hard to say. It's just when you look at it, that's when you get all confused.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's time for the local sports roundup.
Montesano girls soccer has advanced to the state semifinals for the first time after a 3-1 opening round win over Lakeside 9 Mile Falls and an overtime win against Tenino in the quarterfinals. Jaden Morrison led the Bulldogs with 2 assists and a goal in the state opener against Lakeside. Ooh, that's a Ole Penn Real Estate Athlete of the Week snub right there. Michaela Stanfield, league MVP Michaela Stanfield, and Paige Leisherness each scored off a setup from Morrison. Monty won the penalty kick shootout 4-2 over Tenino on Saturday with goals coming from Morrison, Leisherness, Emma Salazar, and Jaden King. Goalkeeper Riley Timmons also came up with a key save on a penalty kick. That was how the game ended. Montesano will face third-seeded Deer Park at 2 p.m. on Friday at Shoreline Stadium. Win or lose, the Bulldogs are guaranteed another game after that, either the third, fourth place game or in the championship game the following Saturday.
Yeah, so Jaden Morrison was the honorable mention for the Athlete of the Week this week. Also, anytime someone from Montesano hears the words Deer Park,
Triggered.
I mean, I get
Braden were here.
I get triggered for that.
Yeah.
Ugh, Deer Park. Anyway, Montesano's football season came to an end in the opening round of the state tournament on Friday in Chatteroy, just down the street from Deer Park.
Didn't know that was a place until this weekend.
Yeah, neither did I. Why'd they play there? Stupid reasons. The 10th seeded Bulldogs fell to the number 7 Riverside Rams 27-20 despite 202 rushing yards and a touchdown by two-way first team all league running back linebacker Isaiah Pierce. That was a mouthful. Pierce also threw a touchdown pass to Caden Lovell in the loss. Riverside was led by Silas Ings on 181 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. And I gotta say, I thought Monty was gonna get that win. And it's playoff time, so that's all we got. But I would like to hear more about that Monty game, Justin. Since you were there, you drove 7 hours. 7 hours? It took 7 hours?
Yeah, so that was with, pardon me, I stopped one time to get gas and to buy some Chewy Spree.
Chee.
And I stopped one time. To go to the bathroom. Those stops totaled about 15, maybe 20 minutes. And from the time I left my house to the time I got there was almost 7 hours.
Wow.
I got stuck in traffic by JBLM and by the Tacoma Dome and apparently in Spokane, downtown Spokane during rush hour. So when I got there, like that's why I mentioned it was kind of a crunch because it took me longer to get there than I thought it would. The drive home was much faster. I got there in a little under 6 hours.
Well, it's amazing how clear the roads are at like 1 in the morning?
Yeah. Well, I left at around 8 and got home just before 2.
Ugh.
So, yeah. And then the team bus didn't get home till like 4, which is weird.
Well, I'm assuming they stopped to eat.
Yeah, and at a rest stop and stuff too.
And when you stop to eat with like 50 kids, it takes a long time.
And the rest stop.
With
for
50
all
kids.
of them to go to the bathroom and
that's
everything.
true.
Plus, I don't think a bus can quite drive the same speed. Okay, so you've made this drive a lot, right?
Yes.
Because of college and stuff.
Yeah.
So most of that highway, it's I-90. That's the one that you're on for a super long time.
Yep.
It's so hard not to go really fast on that highway, partially because the flow of traffic is really fast, but also there's a ton of trucks, and they always go in the right lane.
Yep.
So you never want to drive in the right lane because you're going to drive for a mile to get stuck behind a truck and just have to go around it.
Yes.
But if you're in the left lane, you're getting pushed to go like 85 miles an hour the whole time.
And I didn't drive that stretch a lot because of college, but I have driven that stretch because Hoop Fest,
right?
Going to Eastern Washington for Spokane for Bearcats games, Quarter Lane. That I've been to that area a bunch, and yes, I'm usually going like 85.
Yeah.
And the speed limit's 70 to start with. So normally I would be going like 78.
Right.
But then you get in there, and all of a sudden you got people bombing past you at like 90, and you're
Yes.
like, okay, I can kind of go a little bit faster here.
And it's even more than that. It's like you almost have to.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, so if I had it planned in my head that if I got pulled over, I was going to blame everyone except for me.
That's always, I've heard that excuse works. Never, but
Okay. Anyway, so we can talk about the game for a minute.
if you find an excuse for speeding that does work, let me know. Because
My
it would
wife's
have
in
helped.
labor? I feel like that one would probably work.
Yeah, I feel like you have to have a wife with you in labor, though.
Yeah. I suppose
Couldn't
that
she
would
be at the hospital and you're trying to get to her?
Oh, okay.
So
that might not. That would. I feel like you'd still have to get a stater on a good day. You'd be like, "Well, I'm sorry, but I need one of those tickets."
I'm the worst at this because I'm like incapable of being anything except detrimentally honest with a police officer in that scenario. Like,
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
So there was a time actually when we were going down to Seaside, and there's a big stretch of highway when you're headed down the coast where it's 55, but it's straight and it feels really fast. And it's windy too, so you can't really put it in cruise control because there's all these spots where the speed changes.
Yep.
And I just got into a flow where we were just talking, and I was going 65, and it felt really normal. And I got pulled over, and the police officer came up to the window, and he was like, "Oh, hey, I just clocked you at 65. I was wondering, did you know that the speed limit's 55 here? Because there's another part of the highway where it's 60. And I was like, "No, I knew. I'm sorry. I just lost track of my speed."
He gave you an out.
And he gave me a ticket after that. After I was like, "Dang it. I should have just said, 'Oh, yeah, officer. No, I didn't know.'"
He would have given you a ticket anyway.
Probably. Real nice guy, though.
Yeah, I once got a ticket on that stretch of highway on my birthday. Ruined my birthday.
Poor Daniel.
Yeah.
When you got that ticket on your birthday and it ruined your birthday, were you suddenly a 7-year-old girl? Or like, why was it such a big deal that it was your birthday?
Because
Whoa, I thought you
tickets are
I thought you
expensive.
changed your mind on birthdays.
Sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I respect birthdays now. I forgot. I turned over a new leaf.
Well, it was weird. So we are so far away from hearing about the Monty game, but it was so
I'm
weird
struggling. It's painful.
because I couldn't sleep that night. My wife and I couldn't sleep that night, so we actually just stayed up all night and drove down the coast to Cape Disappointment to see if we could look back up the Columbia for the sunrise. And then we were on our way back from that, and I got a ticket, and it made me real mad because it was expensive.
My wife texted and said, "I have to be nice to you about birthdays. I apologize. It was very rude of me."
But that's part of your charm, is just being a jerk about birthdays.
Okay, so the football game.
Okay, right.
I felt going into it, I had listened to a podcast and like done a little bit of research to try to figure out, okay, how good is this team? Because I'd never heard of them.
Yeah.
Like Riverside is not.
I've heard Riverside a bunch. I never knew where they were.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
They're not like a state power,
It's
like a
not
traditional
Royal.
state power or anything like that.
It's not Zilla. It's not Royal. It's not Linden.
Yeah. Oh, Linden. But I went into it thinking, okay, I'm hearing a lot of really good things about this team. We had to drive 1 billion miles
All of them.
to get there.
Yep.
The team, they took the whole Thursday to get there. They practiced in the middle in Ellensburg. I felt like, man, if I was one of those kids, I'd be exhausted. You know, they're spending all this time together, which is great. It's a super fun trip. My son was really excited to go on it, and he had a great time with his teammates. But I was thinking this road trip's going to be tough. They play on a grass field. It's going to be really wet, and they're good. Everything I saw was they're good. And I realized as the game was going on, okay, well, they're not that good. Like, I felt like Monty had played 3 teams better than them throughout the course of the year because Tenino, Eatonville, Napavine, in my mind, all 3 of those teams, sorry if you're listening, Rams fans, all 3 of those teams were better than Riverside.
Wow.
So as I'm watching the game, I'm thinking, okay, well, this is good. Like, the Bulldogs have a real chance here.
Yeah.
And a combination of, I think, the elements making it really difficult to throw, and there was a couple plays where, you know, Riverside they weren't throwing the ball a lot, but they had a couple of big plays downfield, and their quarterback would kind of lull you to sleep with a whole bunch of runs and stuff, and then all of a sudden he would just uncork a really nice throw downfield, and he was pretty good. And all that combined with, you know, one really bad call that took a potential Monty touchdown off the board, and then things just went very poorly in the fourth quarter, and it ends up being a loss. And so, but it's kind of the worst kind of loss because it's a loss where you feel like some of the other ones I could swallow because like Monty plays Eatonville. Eatonville's really good.
Yeah.
So while I felt like the Bulldogs should have been more competitive in that game, like there's no shame in losing to Eatonville. Every Bulldog walked away from Riverside thinking we should have won that game. Yep. And that makes it a little bit more painful. I think the one thing that I really want to take away from this is, I went down on the field after the game was over and I'm talking to some players and there's just tears everywhere. Tears everywhere because these guys, as fans, we don't always think about this when we're watching it, but like we think about it when we're in it. They just went through an entire season together. They went through the summer lifting weights, practicing nearly every day, working like fiends for that moment. And then it hits you as a freshman or it hits you as a sophomore or a junior. That's the last time I get to play with these guys. Mm-hmm. And when I was talking to some of the sophomore kids after the game, they're like, man, it's just, I feel so terrible for these seniors. I feel like I'm never going to get to play with these guys again. And I feel like I feel terrible that their high school football career is over. And it becomes an extremely emotional moment.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's worth mentioning like a few of these senior guys who did a lot throughout the course of the season. We've talked a ton about Isaiah Pierce. He's been incredible. Mm-hmm. Like I would say maybe as far as I can think of it, maybe you could think of somebody better. The best football player I think I've covered who didn't win an MVP award. Because the Bulldogs ended up in third place, but he was a beast. And if they had finished first or second, he definitely would have snagged one of those awards. He deserved them.
I've thought of some snubs.
Yeah.
And I've thought there were snubs in the past.
Sure.
But that was only when like Hoquiam and Monty were both really good.
Yeah.
And the best player on either both of them couldn't get it.
Well, and then there's 3 MVP awards because you have league MVP and then offensive and defensive. You didn't get any of them because
he's easily the best that I can think of that didn't get any of them.
That's what I'm thinking of. Takari Hickle from Tenino won the league MVP.
You're right.
And then Eatonville players won offensive and defensive. All those kids deserving.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to take anything away from them. More just that the league was so strong this year that a player like Isaiah, who was phenomenal, I think closed the season out with 3 straight 200-yard plus rushing performances. And
I mean, there's a reason why, and I haven't put the graphic out, but I'm fully intending to put that our like Ole Penn Real Estate Football Player of the Year award to him. I mean, I got tired of making Athlete of the Week awards for him, so I'm just making a new award for him to finish the season.
But a few other seniors that I think really stood out to me, guys like Caden Lovell, who I said in the beginning of the season, I didn't really know what to expect from him. Immediately, he proved he was the whole package. He is fast. He is strong. He has great hands. He was a way better receiver than I anticipated him being. Beginning of the year, he's catching everything over the top. And then there's a couple games later in the year where all of a sudden he's catching 10, 12-yard outs in a game because that's what was there.
Yep.
And he proved he could make all of those plays.
He had 14 catches in one game.
Exactly.
And to me, what he then did on defense also was huge.
Yeah.
Like, his defense impressed me almost as much as his offense.
True. Absolutely true. I love seeing Jacob Sahlstrom out there making some plays. He had, in this playoff game, a huge run in a crucial spot where they used a little misdirection where they got Isaiah going one way and the defense kind of followed him because he's Isaiah. And then Jake had the ball and he made a move at the line to shake a defender and then really great burst. And he got like a 30-plus yard run that got the ball all the way down to the goal line. That was another senior I had a really, really good time watching. Connor Odekirk, who his season didn't end the way that you would have wanted it to because he had that fumble on the last play on the kickoff, but he had another monster kick return in this game, which was just more of what we've seen from him the whole season. Mm-hmm. He's so fast that if Connor could get to the edge, he was getting some yards. And even though he tended to have the runs where he got almost all the way to the end zone, he had a lot of huge plays throughout the course of the season. So, those guys as seniors, Daniel, any other seniors that you can think of that we might not have a chance to talk about again? I know I'm putting you on the spot. Wisenhunt's another one.
Another senior that I really, and just a grinder. I mean, we've seen Monty fullbacks that were like the focal point of the offense.
Yeah.
Every now and then, and that's the cool part of that offense is you could be the Z, you could be the tailback. I'm not sure if they call it a tailback or the fullback or wing. Anyway, there's 3 different positions that all 3 of them could be the focal point of the offense.
Right.
Jared was not. He was the blocking fullback.
Yeah.
And he grinded the entire year. And when I really noticed it is when at the end of the La Center game, they didn't know. They were like, well, let's just have Jared run. But they didn't want to put him in a different position. But they also wanted someone to block for him. So literally Isaiah just stepped up a couple of paces in front of his fullback to where he normally wasn't be, and then he was just blocking for Jared to, and I thought both of that was awesome. But I really liked watching how Wisenhunt played on defense too. I mean, he was just a stud linebacker for him.
He's a kid who plays a lot bigger than he is.
Yes. Because he looks like he's a big hulking fullback, and then you look at him and he's 180.
Yeah, he's really not that big, but when you watch him play football, you'd think he's 210 pounds out there. And he did have, I'm not going to dwell on it, I'm going to mention it one time. He had the play that should have been a touchdown, but the refs lost track of where the ball was. He literally ripped the ball out of the running back's hand, took off down the field, got 20 yards down the field. The referees still thought the running back had the ball. They blew the play dead. So not only did he not get the touchdown, but because the refs had no idea what was going on, Monty didn't even get the ball.
Yeah.
So Wisenhunt had that play. Another guy that I remember as a senior is Alex Delgado, who stepped up and played some really, really good offensive line for Monty this year, and I was really happy to see him. I coached Alex 1 year in Little League Baseball, and he's an awesome kid. So I'm really glad to see all of his hard work throughout the years paying off in his senior year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, not many seniors on this team.
Is Southard a senior?
Southard is a junior.
He's a junior? Okay.
I think maybe the only other senior we didn't mention, I mean, there's 2 seniors that weren't playing at this point.
Yeah, because Isaac
is someone who I wanted to mention because when you're out for the season, you don't have to do everything.
Yeah.
But he kind of Sam Wintered it, when Sam didn't play basketball and yet he was at every practice. And, I mean, this was to the point where Isaac Pierce didn't play a snap in the regular season and yet he was a captain every game. So, I don't know. That says something to me.
Yeah.
Even though he didn't play a lot this year, Isaac Pierce was one of my favorite players.
And 100% was just like having an extra coach down there.
Yeah.
Because if you listen to any of these 2 guys talk about Isaac and Isaiah, the twins that were seniors this year, it's leadership, hard work, lead by example. They're talking to you constantly, trying to pick you up, help you figure things out. And so I'm sure the coaching staff is thrilled to have Isaac there too. So yeah, you're right. Not many seniors. I'm really glad to give those guys a little bit of a shout out. And as tempting as it is to look down the roster and say, here's what it's going to look like next year, because I think I have a pretty good idea. We could do that when we do our season preview next year. I just wanted to give a little bit of a tribute on the way out to the seniors who played for this team.
Absolutely. And, I mean, I know he didn't finish out the year, but I loved watching Kenny play. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was starting from a freshman.
Yeah.
And I know things didn't work out for him this senior year, and that really bums me out. But I loved watching Kenny Coonrad play. So,
agreed. Yeah.
And for maybe some of those people who are watching from other towns who think that, maybe we're spending way too much time on a Monty team, I'm sure I spent at least this much time on some of those Hoquiam basketball teams that I followed super closely. So,
do people really complain, or are we internalizing that?
I get complaints.
Do you?
Well, I don't get complaints. I get more teasing and people poking fun at you. They're like, oh, man, when Justin wasn't on the show, at least it wasn't just Monty all the time. Mm-hmm. But
when Justin wasn't on the show,
he missed a show or something like that, and somebody was like, "What a great show!" Oh, I did it by myself.
I thought you were talking about like before Justin, and I was like, there were like four shows, and they were terrible.
Yeah, they're really bad.
You guys are great.
So
we could briefly, as like a wrap up of the high school football season, talk about Elma, because although like nothing new happened here, I just feel like on the way out the door, it's worth noting that in the beginning of that season, Elma was incredibly strong, putting out great performances.
Yeah.
They literally had a record-breaking running back, Conan Baxter.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the year, when the games really started to matter, when they had their tougher matchups, when they played their rival Montesano, everybody was hurt.
So injured.
So
both Baxter and Bailey.
And I have talked to a couple people who are Elma fans, and I'm like, they kind of echo the same sentiment that like this was disappointing, but not disappointing because the kids didn't put out what you expected them to. They exceeded expectations. They met all the expectations. It was just when circumstances happened that were out of their control that they couldn't sustain it because they just didn't have the horses. They didn't have the same guys. You know, losing Bailey, losing Conan Baxter for the last few games of the season absolutely crushed them.
Yeah.
And they still went out there and played really hard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in the first half of when they hosted the Bulldogs, and I think I was told by someone that they were down 8 starters that game. I don't know if that meant like actual starters or some were offense, some were defense, or what the deal was, but they were decimated by injury the same way that Monty was when they went to go play against Tenino.
Mm-hmm.
It was a 12-0 game at halftime. Like it was competitive. It was way more competitive, and then it ended up getting away from them in the end. But I really wish we could have seen what that Elma team led by Baxter and Bailey and their sophomore quarterback, Studer. I think it's Connor Studer. Anyway,
something like that.
Anyway, so Studer, you know, these guys, if they could have led that team to something that was a little higher, because I think after especially seeing how well Monty competed as an underdog in the state tourney, the walloping that Eatonville put on their first opening round team, I think it was 58-0.
Yeah.
And then what Tenino did, which we'll get into in the mailbag later in the show, which is, you know, a staggering thing. This league has proven to be incredibly strong, and it would have been cool to see how Elma could have competed in the end.
And especially when you look at all 3 teams from the Evergreen won their district games.
Yeah.
And won them handily.
Yeah. The closest one was Monty beating Le Center by 22 points.
Would a healthy Elma beat Le Center?
I would say yes, based on what we've seen.
I would say it would have at least been a heck of a close game.
Yeah.
So if 4 teams been able to get in and Elma been healthy, they could have been in the state tournament too. I absolutely agree with that. I think that's going to do it for the local sports that we're going to talk about today until we get to the mailbag with that Tenino game. But Justin, you do have power rankings.
I got a power ranking. I haven't had one in a while. This has been sparked by quite a bit of social media controversy.
Uh-oh. Did you start this controversy?
No. People pick on me, Daniel. I'm never the instigator. Holidays.
That hard to believe. Yeah.
Top 5 holidays.
Hayes.
That's one word. You're mashing one word together into a smaller word.
It was too long of a word. It's a compound word.
It's holy day.
Holy day.
Okay. I didn't like that one. That was a fail.
Okay, sorry.
Top 5 holidays.
All right.
And I don't even need them written down because I know them off the top of my head.
Uh-oh.
So Andrew, do you have the sound ready?
I do.
Okay.
Number 5.
Numero uno.
Wait.
Oh, cinco.
Super Bowl Sunday is the number 5 holiday, and I know what you're thinking. It's not a holiday. But it is a holiday, and it's the 5th best holiday on the calendar. You get to enjoy some time with family and friends, eat a buttload of food. It's sounding like a holiday, right?
Yeah.
Watch some football together, depending on who's playing, and just basically have a good chill
and
day.
who your family and friends are.
The only thing that is not holiday about it is you don't get any time off of work for it.
Yeah.
That's the biggest bummer about it. They should have it on Monday and have it be a holiday. Or on Saturday, so you could at least have the next day off.
I would prefer it be Saturday. I'm all down for Super Bowl Saturday.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay, the next best holiday.
This. You know what?
Number 4.
Numero cuatro.
Christmas, the 4th best holiday.
I'm honestly surprised because you work for UPS or you work for a package delivery service.
Daniel's just giving all my secrets out. Andrew, mark that. Cut it from the show. So
But we're live.
if I'm being completely honest about
But
this,
I'm surprised this makes the list.
well, Christmas could be number one, but people ruin it with their awfulness.
I agree with that.
The actual Christmas holiday,
Yes.
the holiday is great.
Yes, it is.
A week leading up to the holiday could be great.
Yeah.
Like there's a feeling in the air, people, there's some joy, there's some added excitement. Something big is coming.
There's special music.
The holiday, exactly, that's the bad music, but it's still special music. And the holiday itself, I mean, receiving gifts is fun. I love giving gifts. It's
Yes.
one of my favorite things in the world to give somebody a gift that I've put thought into, that I'm excited, that they'll be excited when they open it. I love Christmas. The problem and the reason why it's not ranked higher on the list is because of all the bozos out there. Yeah, I'm calling you out now. Bozos who start celebrating Christmas the instant Halloween is over. Do you need 2 months to celebrate a holiday? And now I posted this on Facebook and I got some, well, I like to celebrate the birth of my Savior for 2 full months. I celebrate Jesus every dang day. I don't need 2 months of extra celebration. It's a complete lack of respect for Thanksgiving.
I agree with that.
You completely bypass and disregard it like it's not a thing. And by oversaturation, you ruin what could otherwise be a phenomenal day on the calendar. Bozos. Fourth best holiday is Christmas.
I like how you went straight eye contact with the camera. Just drilling it in there.
There's a few people in particular, you know who you are.
Christmas, you also get Christmas Eve, which, I mean, technically don't get off work, but, I mean, it's enough. Christmas is a big enough thing that they call the day before Christmas a thing. And yet, people, I don't get the whole, it's so weird. Because it's right after Halloween. It's like midnight, Halloween night, and it's like, ding, Christmas land. You're like, hold up here a second.
Yeah.
What's going on?
And, you might think that just waiting till after Thanksgiving is good enough.
I do. I think after Thanksgiving is when it's okay to start.
You can start, but it's got to be a slow ramp up, right?
Yeah,
you're
don't
not
just barf over your
100%
house.
full throttle,
Yeah.
like Christmas pedal to the metal
Yeah.
the day after Thanksgiving. That's unacceptable.
It is kind of fun. Like, my family was always like shoot, Christmas is in 2 weeks. We need to get a tree. But my wife's family is like, it's the day after Christmas or day after Thanksgiving. We got to go get a tree now. So I've enjoyed it. It's nice,
think it's
but you
fine.
have to keep the tree healthy.
But also, like, that weekend after Thanksgiving, that could be like the only time you might have time to go as a family and
That's
get
true.
a tree. So
that's a good
I'm
point.
with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Some of us work really hard in Christmas season.
We
Yeah.
we do fake trees now. So I actually have to buy a new one because our cat destroyed our old one. But
See, we're all getting in on this.
I didn't hear that one.
He
though.
said
I
freeze,
said freeze.
instead of fake trees.
Oh, okay. I like it. That's good. Yeah, that's really good. Okay, now
Angel's going to hate all of this by the time we're done.
I hope she's not angry with me when we get home.
She's going to be.
The third best holiday.
Okay.
Number 3.
Numero tres.
Easter.
It's a good holiday.
It's a good
Easter
holiday.
is always on a Sunday.
That's true.
As holidays go, it's a pretty chill day.
Yeah.
You wake up, maybe you go to church, you give your kids Easter baskets, you see some family, and you chill and eat candy.
And ham.
Candied ham.
Yes.
Is it-
Cam.
Is it bad that it just occurred to me that Easter is the light side candy holiday? As
Ooh,
opposed
Halloween's
to
the
the
dark
dark
side.
side.
You're right. That's a
There's
good
2
call there.
candy holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do enjoy Easter. Also, what would be better than celebrating the resurrection of Jesus?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's arguably more important than Christmas.
And there you go. Of course, if he had never come to Earth, he could never have.
Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah,
But-
it's a chicken and it's a bunny
Yeah.
and an egg situation. No, that's
Yeah.
terrible.
And I was going to say, there was a part of my rant I was going to say that I forgot to, which was, how about you bozos with your pagan trees start thinking more about Jesus? But then I was thinking, because, Christmas, part of the reason why I've had such a hard time with Christmas is how it's 2 months of like this over commercialization and the actual meaning for the holiday gets totally lost in all of it.
Yes.
And I feel like Easter, there is the bunny and there's some stuff, there's marshmallow bunnies and like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's much more, at least for me and the way that we've always celebrated it, has much more to do with the actual meaning of the holiday.
Yeah.
So Easter.
I'm really curious about number 2. I think I know what
it's
number
what
1
you
is.
do after you eat and your body processes the food and it dispenses the waste that your body didn't need. That's a number 2.
Number 2.
Numero dos.
The 4th of July.
Oh.
Yeah.
I love the 4th of July.
Blow stuff up.
Blow
eat
stuff
great
up.
burgers and
Yep.
dogs.
And also for me, because like outside of watching sports, my favorite pastime is grilling. And I love preparing food. And so having an excuse to prepare like an excessive amount of like really extra special food is really fun for me. But it also, there's always a day off of work. There's always a little bit of extra family and friends time mixed in there. So for me, 4th of July, number 2 holiday.
I can get behind that.
Yeah.
And there's usually some good baseball going on.
Mm-hmm.
You can go outside, play fun yard games.
Yep. And it's summer, so it's nice out.
Super nice out.
Go out, shoot some hoops.
Usually super nice out. I mean, we do live in Grace Harbor.
It gets a little yucky sometimes. But July is a good month, though.
Yes. July's our best I feel like July's the best month for weather for us here.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I tend to prefer September when we get the clear cold days, but I'll definitely give you July.
I like it. I'm okay with this list so far, shockingly.
My wife sent me an emoji of a butcher knife. Should I be worried?
Nah, I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure she's just telling you that
She's telling you that her favorite holiday is Knifey Knife Day.
She also said that she celebrates the resurrection of Jesus every day.
Yeah.
So like I said, Christmas,
Yeah.
blah, blah, I celebrate Jesus every day. She's pointing out that with Easter, you could also celebrate the resurrection of Jesus every day, which is a good point.
That is true.
Also butcher knife. Number 1 holiday.
Okay.
Number 1.
Numero uno.
No surprises here. It's the best holiday of all, Thanksgiving, which is all about eating an enormous amount of food, watching football, hanging out with the people you like the most.
Yes.
Justin, I'm thankful every day.
You can't be thankful every day.
Why
Only
not?
once a year on Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving is a great day.
Yeah.
I love it because, yes, you're thankful for all that God has given you, and you're eating a ton of amazing food. And the more you start to mix families together, you start to learn about different kinds of food because you grew up in your family the whole time, and you probably have your Thanksgiving meal, and that's what you think Thanksgiving is. And then a sibling gets married, and all of a sudden you throw other family in there, and you're like, whoa, I never knew this was on Thanksgiving too. And then you get both. Oh man, when my brother got married, his wife's family's Hawaiian. Opened up so many possibilities for Thanksgiving food.
What's your favorite Thanksgiving Hawaiian dish that you
I
have?
can't think of any of the names. Why would you put me on the spot like that?
I'm sorry.
It's all spam with something.
I
right?
know I brought it
apologize.
up. No, it wasn't spam.
I love spam.
There's a really good noodle dish. And I had never thought of noodles on Christmas, but it was delicious.
Yeah, and I mean, we usually do steamed rice on Thanksgiving too.
Okay.
And I think that was something that stemmed from our time in Hawaii because steamed rice is literally what you have with every meal. It's meat and steamed rice. Sometimes you mix in a vegetable.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a big one for me.
I forgot that you lived in Hawaii.
Yeah, I
Whoops.
did. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, Thanksgiving's awesome.
My wife chimed in on YouTube and said that this might be the only time she can agree with Justin's power rankings, and I actually agree with her. That was pretty much dead on.
Can we go through them again?
Right.
So number 5 was You didn't write them down, so you have to
I
remember.
didn't. 5 was Super Bowl Sunday. I'm overcome with emotion for having won.
Johanna's heart.
Yes.
Yeah. So Super Bowl Sunday.
Super Bowl Sunday, Christmas, Easter, 4th of July, Thanksgiving.
I think the only rub I have is I might flip Christmas and Easter.
I might throw
And then
Memorial Day up on top of just over Super Bowl Sunday.
Memorial Day or Labor Day?
I really enjoy. I
Is
think
it for the meaning of the holiday or for the
because
actual?
what is because the meaning for Labor Day is kind of like meh, people work, right?
It's
Well,
like an
it's
extra day off, right?
Yeah,
Let's
but
celebrate
Memorial
unions. Celebrate unions by taking an extra day off.
Yeah, Labor Day is a workers' organization.
Right, so Memorial Day is definitely the better one.
Yeah, and as far as, I like Memorial Day. So
I like Memorial Day too, except for school's coming right at. Oh, wait, no, school's ending. No, wait.
I always lose
No,
track
it's
of
Labor
when
Day.
those
that's
are.
the one that is kind of around school.
I honestly
stuff.
don't
Memorial
remember.
Day is in the end of summer, right?
Memorial Day is May.
Oh, May. Okay.
Labor Day is September.
Okay. Yeah. So Labor Day is the end of summer.
I should probably say Labor Day now that I think about it, since I was married on Labor Day weekend.
Were you, or was it Memorial Day weekend?
It was Labor Day weekend?
You sound really sure of yourself there.
I think also,
But yeah, I'm down with this list. I was forgetting about 4th of July. When you did 3 Easter, I was like, what's number 2 going to be? Because I knew that you like Thanksgiving the best. And then you dropped 4th of July, and my head exploded of how did I forget about 4th of July?
Like a firework.
Where I can make things explode.
yeah. It's funny
And
that your
eat-
head exploded.
and-
Ironic, even.
And eat great food.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, 4th
And
of
it's
July
a
is
different.
cool.
It's a whole different category of great food than you get in the winter.
Yes.
Like it's the barbecue, outdoor, potato salad, all those.
Oh, potato
yeah.
salad. Oh, I love potato salad.
Halloween deserves an honorable mention.
Does it though?
It's a good holiday. It's a good holiday.
I
It's not-
think that Halloween is the most overrated holiday.
Okay. I think I could get on board
I
with
could
that.
get 2.
Like I don't hate it, but
Man, it's got a
does it
big-
get way too much play.
It's like the Mariano Rivera
Yeah.
of holidays. Because Mariano Rivera is the most overrated player in the history of all sports.
Gosh dang it. Francis won't even listen when we answer his questions now. He's just turned off this show.
Just a reminder, Mariano Rivera sucks.
All right, now it is time. Do we have poll results?
I got a few.
Sweet.
These are all from last
Sweet.
week's show.
I like how this show is basically just Justin creates the whole show now.
Justin
I'm
on
totally,
Twitter.
I'm just totally fine with it. Like I'm just along for the ride at this point.
I want to first point out before we do the poll results that if you want to see a picture of the
On
broom on Twitter that is there as a monument to the night that Daniel trapped the rat. I got a text message from a friend of mine after listening to last week's podcast that he said, the rat story had me totally engaged. I usually kind of listen to your podcast while I'm doing other stuff around the house.
Yeah.
But when the rat story was happening, I was sitting and I was on the edge of my seat, hanging on every word. So the rat story was a big hit. If you missed it, you can go back to last week's show and just fast forward to the end and listen to the last,
Yeah.
I don't know, 10 minutes or
It's
so.
like 15 minutes.
Yeah, it was a good story, though.
I have
Really good
another
story.
smaller rat story. as a
Really?
follow-up, Yeah.
Okay, so we got that in mailbag coming up. That's a teaser. Here's the poll results. If you were in close proximity to a rattlesnake, what would you do? And the options were kill it, like Andrew said he would do,
Yeah.
and run from it, like Daniel said he would do.
Yep.
69% of the audience
Nice.
says they would run from it.
Not nice.
Smart.
They agree with Daniel.
Yes.
Even though if the rattlesnake really wanted you, it would probably catch you, I think.
Do snakes? Do you run zigzag when you're running from
That's a
snakes?
Komodo dragon.
Serpentine!
Is that just alligators and Komodo dragons?
I got a few candy-related ones that are based on the comments that we got, because I felt like, aside from the rat story, the highlight of last week's show was reading through the comments that we got from people
About the
on our
candy.
candy draft.
Yes.
So here's a few questions based on that. Is Chewy Spree what's left in the bottom of a variety bag that no one wants?
No, because they
Yes.
don't put Chewy Spree in a variety bag.
Well, 82% of the audience agreed with you, Daniel. No, it is not.
Sweet. I wonder if they used that logic, because I've never seen Chewy Spree in a variety bag.
Probably.
Okay. Smart audience.
Should they have stopped making Charleston Chew in like 1983?
I thought it was that we decided they probably did.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Well, 67% of the audience said no, they should not have stopped making Charleston Chew in like 1983.
Wow, you think with those poll results, I wouldn't have got blasted so much for my candy choices.
Next question. Are Spree and Airheads middle school candy? Because that was another thing someone said.
Yeah.
Well, Daniel, 75% of the audience says no. Those are not middle school candy.
Where were these people?
You're really coming out on top through all of this. Are Crackle and Charleston Chew grandpa choices? 57% of the audience said no. They are not grandpa choices.
Where were these people last week?
I don't know, but you're smelling like a rose through all these poll results.
Smells good.
Here's something that Andrew said. Is bed for losers? Because last week we were running a little long, and we asked Andrew if he wanted to go so he could go to bed, and he said bed's for losers.
I put on a strong front.
Well, Andrew, 79% of people disagreed with you. They say bed is not for losers.
I also disagree with me. I would like to go to bed right now.
Final question. Have you ever put an airhead halfway in your mouth so it looks like you have a really long tongue?
Yes.
73.
How many people were lying?
73% of the audience said yes. 27% were lying.
Yep.
And that's our polls for the week.
Oh, that's good stuff. Well, we got some more stories coming up and some more questions in the mailbag. We've teased a couple already, so let's take a commercial break before we get to the mailbag.
At Olipen Real Estate, we have solidified our foundation on 4 core values. First, we continuously focus on growing our knowledge in the market and in our practices to bring the highest level of competency to our clients. Second, we provide a high level of integrity, compassion, and kindness in every aspect of our business. Third, we put the human element above business through humor, enthusiasm, and patience. And last but not least, we proactively respond to the needs of our clients. Our mission is to create a personal real estate experience, one person and one home at a time. With Olipen, it's personal.
Thank you to our sponsors, Olipen Real Estate and the Law Office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz. This is The Scrimmage. I'm Justin Domashevitz. That's Daniel Hargrove, and our trusty producer, Andrew Gross, here with us, making us sound as good as he possibly can.
So good.
It's a tough task. He's got the hardest job on the show.
Froggy voice.
Let's get a couple of mailbag questions.
Yes, we do.
The mailbag.
Yes,
Send
the mailbag.
us your stuff. Send us your stuff in a mailbag.
First one comes from Jamie.
Okay, Jamie.
Jamie says, Freeman versus Tenino stats by themselves are impressive and should be discussed. If anyone has a chance to watch that game, I suggest it. My son said it looked like a game of Madden on rookie level with 15-minute quarters.
Yeah, I was
nailed it.
Absolutely nailed it, because I remember when Madden, the time simulation wasn't like as realistic, and so you would still play like 5-minute Madden cut.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yep.
Before? And so you'd play 5-minute quarters, and yet the game would still
You'd
last
get the
like
same
40
amount
minutes.
of stats, yeah.
And your stats would be ridiculous. But now the simulation, they make it so the time runs down way too quick. I want to put up ridiculous stats. Dang it, Madden. Anyway, I have never scored 80 points in a Madden game. And that's with created teams. I'm not sure if I've ever gotten
Did you ever
80.
play 15-minute quarters, though?
No, I never played
I don't
15
think I've ever had the
quarters.
patience to play 15-minute quarters.
But it was ridiculous. Tenino won 80-55. This was not 8-man football.
I had a football game called NFL Fever. I think it was 2000. And it was on the computer.
Did you need more cowbell?
And I figured out that I could get an onside kick successfully about 95% of the time. And I also found a play where there was a bomb that I could convert immediately. So I could basically onside kick score, onside kick score, onside kick score, and I scored well over 200 points in a game once.
Nice.
So I have scored over 80, not in a Madden game, but in a video football game. This game finished 80-55. And my reaction, Daniel, was the same as your initial reaction, which was, that looks like an 8-man football score.
Yeah.
Because you see a lot of those, they get the scoring goes crazy at the end because the kids are tired and they save all their energy for offense.
Yes.
So, yeah.
It's just back and forth. So as you look into some of the stats, the individual stats are also ridiculous in this game. I will start with Gosh, I was going to say least impressive, but I'm not sure if any of these stats are least impressive. So I'm just going to start with the other team. So Bowen Phelps from Freeman accounted for 8 touchdowns in Freeman's 80-55 loss. Is that all the touchdowns?
I think so.
8 times. I'm going to let you do the math. I'm going to say all of their 8 touchdowns in their loss to Tenino. He threw for 5 and rushed for 3, including scoring runs of 63 and 67 yards. So 130 yards rushing on 2 plays.
Yeah, eight touchdowns and 8 extra points would be 56 points. So it looks like they had 8 touchdowns and missed 1 extra point.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah.
And then you go...
55 usually wins you a game.
Yeah. 55 usually gets you into the running clock. But the Beavers were led by one of these 2 guys, because both of these numbers are ridiculous.
It's funny because I can't pick out between these 2 guys which one I think is crazier.
Right?
Because Takari Hickle rushed for 408 yards and
That's
5
a lot of
touchdowns.
yards.
He took 34 carries to do it, which is a lot of carries, but he's also rushing for well over 10 yards per carry.
He only averaged 12 yards per carry,
Oh,
Justin.
yeah. Well, compared to what Gavin Watson did, which, holy crap, Gavin Watson carried the ball only 10 times, but scored 6 touchdowns and had 274 yards. Even I can do the math on that without looking because it's only 10 carries. That's 27.4 yards per carry. And a touchdown on 60% of your runs.
Right.
What?
It's so stupid.
What?
He scored 60% of the times he touched the ball. What is going on? That's nuts. As
Was
a
this
team,
at Tenino?
As a team,
Yeah.
yes, it was at
So
Tenino.
on that black turf.
Yes. As a team, Tenino ran for 801 yards.
Holy cow.
And if you're at home listening and
That's
you
2
think
games worth.
you think we're making this up, we're not. It's real.
It's real.
It happened in
can
a
go watch
state
it.
playoff game.
Yeah.
Wait, Daniel, you said 2 games worth.
Yeah.
For both teams, maybe. I mean, even 400 yards rushing in a game
You're
is,
right. It's
a
a
lot.
lot.
Like, that's like, holy cow.
Yeah. That's true. It's
Like,
bonkers.
that's like 4 games worth.
I was gonna see. I was gonna pull up the total rushing yards for Tenino in this game. It's like 800.
I just said it was 801 yards.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Sorry. Yeah.
Crazy.
Just ridiculous.
I mean, you can't expect me to pay attention the whole
I
game.
mean, come on. All right, next question from Francis, who stopped listening because we sideswiped Mariano a little early this podcast.
He is overrated though.
Yeah, and he says turkey is overrated.
Turkey is the Mariano Rivera of meats.
He says Thanksgiving is only really a day to give thanks once you realize this fact and stop insulting your palate with bits of that mess. With that in mind, what is your preferred replacement? So the thing about turkey is I know it's traditional, and I think you can have turkey prepared well if it's nice and moist. And you got some good homemade cranberry sauce, none of that weird Jell-O goop that comes out of a can. Or gravy, some good gravy. But I gotta admit, there's much better meats out there than turkey. So which ones would you prefer? Because you gotta also remember, I'm coming at this decision of which substitute would I pick, is usually you have to feed a big gathering with it. So you're not gonna feed a big gathering with like filet mignon or, you know, high-priced steaks.
Maybe brisket would be a good
The ultimate
replacement.
answer to this is prime rib. Like you get a big prime rib, you can feed a lot of people with that.
That's also
It's really expensive.
It is. I was gonna say ham. I love a big ham, but prime rib is also amazing.
At my mom's house, we have ham and turkey on Thanksgiving.
Oh,
See, I would be down with having ham and turkey.
Yeah.
I like turkey quite a lot, and my assumption whenever people complain that turkey isn't good is that they've never had a well-cooked turkey. Because quite often, I have other people's turkeys that are cooked badly. So I think that knowing how to cook a turkey well is not common knowledge.
that makes sense.
I think the big factor is
It's such a big bird.
the two
is a
things
big
that you mentioned, Daniel. One is the moisture. One is the moisture because turkey is just like chicken, especially chicken breast, where if you cook it like a tiny bit too long, it just sucks all the juices out of it.
Yep.
So if you don't do it just right, you're going to have a really dry turkey, and dry turkey is gross.
Yes.
But the other thing is that you mentioned is that it is a good thing to prepare for a large amount of people because a turkey is a big fat bird.
Yeah.
So
Johanna says beef brisket and ham.
they have some big fat briskets at Wainucci Meats right now too. I
Really?
was really tempted. They're huge, and they're in like these vacuum packed sealed bags.
You know, that's where we always get our meats.
Yeah. If
I
you
was-
want to sponsor
I was going to
us,
say sponsored by, but we're not. But if you would like to,
we talk about you a lot.
yeah.
She also says there needs to be more summer holidays.
Oh yeah, that's true. Is
There's,
4th
There's
of
a
July
big
the
gap.
only summer holiday?
I mean, then Labor Day, right? That's
Well,
kind of
that's like the end of
It marks
summer,
the end
yeah.
of summer. I like the idea of like a late August holiday, but in thinking about it, everybody'd be gone for it because summer is when
everybody's-
everybody just leaves and does their own holidays,
Especially August.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I
For
see what
people
you're
with
saying.
kids in school, August is like vacation month.
Yeah, because you're like, oh crud, we have to go on a vacation before school starts.
For people without kids, September is great because the kids are in school.
Yeah.
Or for homeschool families when you can take a vacation
Yeah.
anytime you
There
want.
you go.
Yeah.
Or for teachers, they've just been off for 2.5 months already. and
Joshua
they're just
Holt
like,
says the greatest of all time is steak and eggs.
ooh, steak and eggs.
get on board with that.
Either that or he said goat steak and eggs. I'm actually not sure. He has a little emoji
Oh, it
of
says-
a goat too. He said
Or is
goat,
steak and eggs the goat?
goat steak and eggs. I thought that he was saying that
One of the
steak
two.
and eggs is the goat, but
See, the problem with with turkey, like as a standalone thing, like it's easy to say turkey is overrated, but turkey with all the rest of the Thanksgiving stuff is a perfect marriage. Like when you get the stuffing and the mashed potatoes
stuffing
and
and
the gravy and you get all that stuff together,
so hungry.
that turkey's the perfect meat for that.
It is.
Yeah.
plus the leftover turkey with all of that makes great sandwiches.
My
Yeah.
dad has a turkey sandwich about 15 minutes after eating dessert every Thanksgiving. And he announces it every time. Time for a turkey sandwich and egg.
Joshua clarified that he means goat steak and
Nice.
eggs.
Okay.
So,
I've never had goat
I have
meat.
not had goat either.
I have not had goat either, and I
Joshua,
want it.
can you hook us up?
Yeah.
My wife and I are considering getting some meat goats. So.
Meat goats?
Moats.
Oh, but goats are so fun.
Goats.
I think I would get too attached to the goats to use them for
Have you
meat
met goats?
Yes, they're wonderful creatures.
You've never met a goat.
I have met multiple goats. Yes, there are some. There are some
Who's
that
met
like
the
to-
most goats? Wait, everybody, let's go around the room and say how many goats you've met. Andrew, how many goats have you met?
Like at least 6.
Okay, Daniel.
I'm probably around 4, 5 maybe.
Does petting zoos count?
Oh, that would definitely up the game.
At least 40,000.
Because
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever met a goat outside of a petting zoo.
I know goats can be ornery, but they can also be super friendly and sociable, and they like to talk to you when you walk by.
I like
And I
the
like
you
that.
know
I
I like
they're saying
videos
when you
of
walk
baby
by.
goats
Baby.
because they like jump around and smash into things. It's
Yeah.
really cute.
Exactly.
What they're saying when you
Baby
walk by
goats,
is, I hope you
boats.
trip.
My wife got in like a full-on conversation with some goats when we went on a walk in Brady once. She walked across the street and was like, "Ah!" And they talked back and forth for like 5 minutes.
Have you guys ever? Do you guys remember that scene from The Office where Dwight is talking to Robert California and he's like, "I can get you exotic meats, giraffe and hippo steaks." And then Robert California's like, "We'll talk about it later." And then they go to Dwight's talking head and he goes, "It'll all be goat."
Josh says that he raises goat. He and his family raise African boar meat goats.
Ooh.
And Johanna says that Daniel may have met goats, however, he has never spent any time with them.
That
I
checks
mean,
out.
did you really get to know them, Daniel?
No, I
Like
just
on
talked
an
to the
emotional
goats.
level?
I've just talked to the goats. I've never taken care of goats. So the idea of goats to me is fun, but I do not know the reality of said goats.
Don't goats also help you like keep your lawn maintained and stuff? Like they eat the grass and stuff.
We've got a bunch of blackberries that we'd like to get rid of.
Okay.
We took care of a goat once when I was really little, and apparently we had the one plant in our yard that goats get deaded by.
Oh no! So you had a dote,
A
dead goat.
And it wasn't ours. We were taking care of it for somebody else.
Oh no!
Yeah.
You killed someone else's goat.
We killed a goat.
Oh no! You're a goat murderer.
Yeah.
A girderer.
Ugh, not good.
Andrew, so is it decided?
Encouraged it.
Nope.
Is it decided, Andrew, that once you slaughter your first goat, you'll bring some meat so we can all taste it?
We'll have to have steaks.
Okay.
Yeah, goat steaks.
Gates.
So anyway, to round out the mailbag or the mag, I had another rat story. So we made it a couple days before we heard any more rat noises. But
and the end of that story was you threw the rat across the street, across the park, into the woods, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, he took it across the street, across the park, and threw it into the woods.
Yes.
He didn't throw it.
You can throw it from your house all the way over there.
I've got a pretty good arm. But I wasn't about to grab a rat to throw it. So a couple days later, we start to hear more skittering, and we're like, crud. So we text my landlord.
Brother.
Yes. And we're like, hey, hearing a rat again. And so he comes down with like all of the rat things. He's got poison.
No. All the rat things, as we learned from last week, is a blanket, a bucket, a tub, a broom, and some flooring.
Yeah, 2 brooms.
Okay.
Yeah, so he comes down with multiple different kinds of traps, poison, and these little like things you plug in that apparently emit a sound that rats don't like.
Oh.
So he brought 3 down, so we plugged them in all over. And then we're setting up the traps, putting poison out. And then he's got one of these types of traps is a glue trap. So they step in it and they can't get out of it. So we set it up above our kitchen in the ceiling. And as we're like setting up other traps, all of a sudden we hear dut, 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 dut. And Jimmy's just like, we got him. And so we're like full on rat hunter mode again. Thankfully, this was only in the late afternoon. And so this rat is stuck in this glue trap. And so Jimmy's like poking it. So brave. I was like, I'm not poking my head up there.
Brave.
So he like moves the ceiling tile and looks up in there. And yeah, sure enough, stuck. But I have to clean off, like, we have shelves, like kitchen shelves with tons of dishes and cups right under this. Mm-hmm. So I have to clean them all off before we can take this out and deal with rat stuff and all this mess. So as we're doing that, Jimmy's like, oh no, I think it's getting away. And so then we finally get it cleared off, and Jimmy gets like his barbecue tongs to grab it, because that was apparently
that was part of the rat thing.
Part of the rat thing. So he's gonna grab it.
He kept him in the tub with the flooring.
Yeah, and so I was holding on to like a 10-gallon garbage bag, or a 20-gallon, really big black garbage bags. And I'm holding it, and Jimmy's like trying to get the rat, and then it breaks away. And we lost it.
Oh.
We lost the rat.
Same rat? Did it come back?
I don't know if it's the same rat. Thankfully, though, I don't know if those little...
I feel like you spent a lot of time with that rat, and you'd know.
Yeah.
It's not like how you just saw the goats and then you moved on.
That's true.
You spent time with this rat.
Yeah. If I saw the rat, I would know, because also it would be walking funny because it gave itself a head injury.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But I think those little sound emitter things are working, because we haven't even heard another rat or rodent since then.
Okay.
So I would highly recommend those. And I'm going to have my brother get more and like maybe put them around the perimeter of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Seemed to work really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we know.
That rat story was not near as good.
Problem solved.
I hope they don't bother dogs.
Well, they do have a dog up there. So hopefully, I mean, it doesn't go, they say it doesn't go through walls very well.
Oh, okay.
So hopefully it doesn't bother the dog upstairs. Or my baby, because we have one in the baby's room. That'd be bad.
I think you would have known by now if it was bothering the baby.
Hopefully.
Yeah, you'd think.
Because when babies are bothered, they just cry.
That's true.
They let you know.
So unless he's crying constantly when he's in his room, I think you're fine.
Okay, I think we're good. He slept okay.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's going to do it for our show today.
So for my co-host, Dargrove,
and my co-host, Jamashevitz,
and our trusty producer, Andros.
I was wondering how you were going to do that one. You've been listening to the scrimmage.
Technically, it should have been Andos, but I liked it better sounding with the R.
I thought you were